Okay, and rolling.
Neighbor Ride, take one.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Hi, please tell me your name and your role within the Neighbor Ride organization.
My name is Lori Bakulik. I'm a volunteer driver with Neighbor Ride. I actually started with Neighbor Ride 5.5 years ago as a volunteer in the office, and then Neighbor Ride received a grant from Volunteer Maryland to hire a volunteer coordinator. So I took that position for a year, which as the volunteer coordinator, not only did I do volunteer coordinator roles, but I also, part of it was to do direct community service. So I actually drove while I was the volunteer coordinator too. After a year, Neighbor Ride did receive funding within Neighbor Ride to hire their own volunteer coordinator. So I then just became a driver, and I occasionally fill in the office here, answering phones and doing ride coordinator duties.
What has Neighbor Ride meant to you?
Neighbor Ride has made a real difference in my life. I drive around all the time, and to be able to have a passenger in my car that I can help in their lives is so easy and rewarding, and you just make wonderful friendships with these passengers. They're so appreciative. Many of them are still in their homes, able to get places because we can still drive them to where they need to be, wherever. Medical appointments, hairdresser, lunch with friends, whatever.
What are you most proud of in working with this organization?
I'm proud of being a part of Neighbor Ride, especially as it's grown and become such a common word. Everybody knows what Neighbor Ride is now in Howard County. And when we first started, when I first started 5 years ago, I'd say Neighbor Ride and people didn't know what it was. And now when I mention Neighbor Ride, they know exactly what it is. And I think I'm most proud that it has become so important in Howard County for the seniors, and that many of them, the amount of passengers that we serve now has just grown immensely. And it just feels so good that Neighbor Ride is such a solid part of Howard County. And when I first started driving, passengers would say, "Oh, this makes such a difference in my life." And I would say, "Well, hopefully it'll stay around." They'd be like, "I hope Neighbor Ride is here to stay." And I'd say, "Well, I hope it is." And now, with us having celebrated our 6th year anniversary, it's here to stay in Howard County. And that's something to be very proud of.
Why do you believe giving back to the community is important?
I was a nurse, was what I did before I had my children, and so I've always been felt that service was important, serving others. When you become a nurse, you want to serve others. And for me to be able to do something to help others as a volunteer just means so much to me.
Are there any specific experiences that stand out in your mind?
Well, Mildred, who you all are going to be talking to in a little while, Mildred and I became friends. I used to drive her every week to where she would go to volunteer, and we became good friends also. And Mildred made me a beautiful cross-stitch "Home is Where the Heart Is" and gave that to me at Christmas one time. And she made a little coaster for my mother. My mom was going through some tough times, and she made that for me to give to my mom. We've gone out to lunch with another driver, the 3 of us in the holidays. We do a special thing together. So that really means a lot. And it's just, when you drive these passengers, they're just so appreciative each and every time you drive them. And here I'm just running around doing errands, and to be able to just drop someone at the doctor's office because they have to do a pre-op check and go back and pick them up is so easy for me, but for them it would be such a hardship if Neighbor Ride wasn't here to help them.
Thank you, and cut.